Imagine high-value males. Every word you speak is a tool. It may boost your image or retain your strength, or it may shatter the esteem. Women get love for you. What if I told you that you have 5 items, should never tell any lady, if you desire to be considered as strong, confident, and in control? These aren't simply faults. They are possible deal breakers today. We're going to expose these 5 items, and by the conclusion of this video, you'll have the knowledge to keep oneself respectable, desirable, and in command of your relationships. Let's get into it, and assure me you'll want to hear every second of this part. 1. Don't reveal your flaws early on. Every man has vulnerabilities, but the timing of when and if you expose them to a lady means more hidden power than most understand in the beginning phases of a relationship. It's necessary that you portray strength. Why? Because attraction is frequently founded on perception, because the sense of confidence is what fuels desire. The early days are when a lady is discovering out who you are and what you're made of. And if the first item she finds about you is your weaknesses, she'll subconsciously start doubting your stability. 6. Extend farther. You could assume that speaking out about your troubles will make you look more relatable or charming. Yet here's the fact: it doesn't. Women respect guys who can take control of their own feelings, who don't need to be emotionally rescued. High-value guys show the world its strength. Initially, only when deep trust has been built do they exhibit vulnerability early on. She needs to realize that you can tackle life's obstacles without crumbling under pressure. It's vital to comprehend that disclosing too much too soon doesn't simply impact how she perceives you. It also interrupts the power dynamic. When you disclose your flaws prematurely, you give her the upper hand. Whether she realizes it or not, she begins to see fractures in your armor and starts to unconsciously doubt if you're capable of directing yourself, and by extension guiding her. You're no longer the guy who has it all together. You're now the guy who struggled to figure it. And additionally, individuals automatically judge others depending on what's offered to them. If the first thing she learns about you is what you're needing, she'll have a tougher difficulty appreciating your talents later. It's not about being phony or withholding. It's about presenting oneself in a manner that compels respect from the beginning. If that respect is in place, you may progressively speak out about your difficulties. At that moment, you've already proved that you can manage life's ups and downs, and your vulnerability will be perceived as strength rather than weakness. Increase the depth. Let's dig even. Understand the power of not disclosing your vulnerabilities isn't simply about safeguarding your image. It's also about psychological balance in the relationship. When you share too much too soon, you generate a situation where she feels more like your therapist or caregiver than your partner. That's not what high-value guys do. Your partner should be someone who increases your life, not someone you emotionally unload on since you can't manage your personal troubles. Conceive of your shortcomings like a fortress. A fortress only opens its gates when it's ready, when the defenders are powerful, and when the moment is perfect. Until then, the walls remain impenetrable. You need to be that fortress, strong, trustworthy, and composed, till she's earned the right to know what's within this approach. Not just demands respect, but keeps her interested and engaged in understanding more about you. At the core, high-value guys operate from a position of emotions, self-reliance. They solve their own concerns first before engaging others. This doesn't imply you never open up. It implies you do so strategically at the proper moment, when the partnership has grown enough for her to perceive it as a symbol of trust, not a sign of weakness. Part 2. Don't tell her your precise plans for the future as a guy with goals. You're constantly calculating your next move. But here's the golden rule. Never tell a lady precisely what you're planning for the future. Particularly early on, you could silent moves believe. Discussing your objectives is a method to impress her, but in actuality, it eliminates a crucial thing that women want: mystery. The minute you set out every info, you're no longer the intriguing, unexpected guy she's fascinated about. Instead, you become someone whose next move she can predict elaborate further. Why is mystery so crucial? Because it keeps her interested when she doesn't know what your next move is. She's constantly thinking about you, constantly wondering what you're up to, and it keeps the flame alive. Ladies are inherently inquisitive people. They seek to uncover the enigma that is you. If you take away the mystery, you take away a key aspect of what keeps her intrigued. She'll lose that sensation of intrigue, and with it, some of the exhilaration of being with you. There's a deeper psychological component to this, as good high-value guys recognize that explaining every stage of their strategy may weaken their strength. Imagine if you were a general in the military. Would you divulge your whole fighting tactics to anybody who requested? Definitely not. It would weaken your position and expose you up to weaknesses in the same manner when you disclosing your intentions. Too soon, you expose oneself to unwanted scrutiny. She may start doubting your choices, providing unwanted advice, or even inadvertently harming your ambitions. Moreover, it's crucial to keep control over your life's direction when you keep your future plans to yourself. You keep the ability to adjust and alter course without anybody else's input. You aren't beholden to someone else's expectations or views, and that's where your actual power rests. Double the depth. Think of your life as a chess game. A grandmaster never reveals his next step till the time he's ready to strike. This is the heart of strategic life. By keeping your plans close to your chest, you not only preserve control, yet you also portray confidence. A guy who discloses every element of his future is a guy seeking approval. He's seeking a permission or agreement on his next steps. High value. Guys don't need affirmation from anybody. They construct their own path, regardless of what others think. Keeping your plans hidden also prevents any possible disappointment or critique. Let's assume you express your big ambitions, and for some reason things don't turn out as intended now. Not only do you have to deal with your own feeling of failure, but you've also got someone else's viewpoint in the back of your mind. This produces needless pressure. Instead, move in quiet. Let your deeds speak for you. By the time anybody sees what you've done, you've already reached your aim. The success is yours, unfettered by anybody else's expectations or contributions. In addition, withholding your plans fosters independence. When you keep your cards near, you're telling the world and her something: you're entirely capable of dealing your life. You don't need anybody else's advice to attain your dreams. This degree of independence is magnetic to women. It tells her that you be your own guy, not persuaded by the thoughts of others, and that you are entirely in command of your destiny. Part 3. Never discuss your financial struggles. Money is one of the most tough subjects in any relationship, but for high-value males, it's vital to money secrets. Tackle it with a defined plan. Revealing financial problems, particularly early on, may adversely affect how a woman views you. For most ladies, financial stability isn't simply about substance wealth, it's about security. And when you display indicators of financial instability, it sparks deep-seated worries about whether you can offer that security. Expand more. This isn't about being shallow. Women are predisposed to seek out partners who bring steadiness both emotionally and monetarily. It's part of our biology instincts. When you share financial challenges, even if you're attempting to overcome them, it might raise uncertainties in her mind about your capacity to deal future problems. She may start doubting if you're the type of guy who can lead and offer, particularly during severe times. Now, this doesn't imply you need to conceal your reality or pretend to be something you're not. However, high-value guys know how to manage these talks intelligently. Instead of defining your financial scenario as a difficulty, frame it as a stepping stone. Approaching something larger, show her that you're not defined by your present situation, but by your power to soar beyond them. You're not merely talking about what's wrong. You're actively focusing on developing your future. Twice the depth money signifies more. More merely cash. It signifies power, control, and freedom. When you openly discuss financial troubles, you're indicating that you lack one of these critical things, which might decrease her perception of your total worth. This doesn't mean you have to be a millionaire, but it does mean you need to convey an impression of expertise and control over your financial life, even if you're not where you want to be. However, the way you talk about your circumstances should convey positivity, resilience, and resourcefulness. Further mentioning financial troubles too early may also generate an imbalanced dynamic in the connection. If she feels like you're dependent on her financially or emotionally due of financial stress, it might change. Furthermore, mentioning financial troubles too early may also generate an imbalanced dynamic in the connection. If she feels like you're dependent on her financially or emotionally due of financial stress, it may affect the power dynamic in ways things aren't beneficial for a high-value guy. You want to be the leader in your life and in your relationships, so any signal that you're not in control of your finances may create a measure of skepticism that's hard to overcome. Instead, maintain chatting about money, focusing on the good. You may not having everything you desire financially. Right now, however, as a high-value guy, you're constantly seeking to better, and you've had a strategy. Remember, it's not about impressing her with riches. It's about telling her that you're on a route toward financial freedom and that you're not easily affected by brief defeats when comes to talking money. Less is more. Preserve your financial position scenario. Secret unless there's a degree of trust established in the connection. And even therefore, how you communicate about money matters. A high-value guy doesn't complain about his money. He takes action, thus rather than sharing financial problems. Share your ambitions, your plans, and your progress. That's what will command respect and maintain the intrigue in the relationship. Part 4. Don't confess your inner strength insecurities. We all have insecurities. Every single person on the planet battles with self-doubt in some form. Yet as a high-value dude, it's vital that you comprehend the harm that expressing your insecurities may do, particularly to a lady you're attempting to impress or create a friendship with. Here's the unpleasant reality. When you honestly confess to anxieties, you project a sensation of instability. Confidence is one of the most appealing qualities in a guy, and the minute you start revealing your vulnerabilities, you immediately degrade that foundation, expand further. Think of it like, would you be attracted to a leader who publicly voiced concern regarding his capacity to lead? No, you'd start questioning if such leader could manage challenging circumstances, and you'd feel less confidence following him. The same applies to relationships. When you disclose your insecurities to a lady, you're effectively indicating that you don't truly trust in yourself, and that opens the door for her to lose trust in you as well. It's crucial to recognize that ladies don't want to be your emotional crutch. They want a guy who can stand strong on his own. It's not to argue that you should never open yourself or exhibit vulnerability, but time and context are everything early on. You should be concentrated on showing her your strength and confidence as the connection grows. After trust is formed, then you may express some of your deeper ideas. But even then, it's all about balancing. You don't want to become the man who constantly needs reassurance twice. The depth, in fact, continually seeking affirmation or encouragement from a woman will urge her away quicker than virtually any else. Other ladies want to feel confident in a connection, and part of that security comes from knowing that the guy they're with is emotionally stable. When you start admitting your anxieties, you're giving out your emotional power to her, and whether she recognizes it or not, that affects how she regards you. Instead of viewing you as a rock, she could start to perceive you as someone she needs to take care of emotionally, and that's not a situation you want to be in as a high-value guy. It's not about pretending that you don't have anxieties, it's about how you deal them. High-worth guys work on their insecurities in private. They take action to conquer their self-doubt rather than seeking compassion from others. This is where genuine power comes from, when you address your insecurities head-on without requiring someone else to validate you. You show the world that you're in charge of your own mind and emotions. And here's something even deeper. When you don't reveal your insecurities, you truly create space, promote progress, by not always talking. Regarding what you view as your shortcomings, you give yourself the room to work on them. High-value guys realize that they're not perfect, but they're always hard to improve. They don't sit around and lament about their inadequacies. They take action to grow better. That's what keeps a woman interested, and it's what sets you apart as a man of true value. Section 5. Don't divulge previous failures too soon. We all have a past, and with that history comes failures. However, here's the item: as a high-value guy, your failures don't define you. Your answer to them does. When it comes to partnerships, particularly early on, you need to be mindful about how and when you expose your previous failures. Talking too lot about your faults early in a past lessons connection might make you look less competent, less capable, and eventually less attractive. Extend further. It's not that you should hiding your shortcomings entirely. There's a time and place for everything, but when you start rehashing previous faults too soon, you run the danger of framing yourself as a guy who can't get things right. Women are naturally drawn to success, because if you spend too much time concentrating on what went wrong in your past, you're basically telling her, this is who I used to be, and maybe I still am. That's not the picture you want to transmit. Instead of talking about your past failures, concentrate on your current achievements and future possibilities. It's not about claiming to be flawless, it's about proving that you've learnt from your past and have come out stronger. High-value men take responsibility for their failures, but they don't dwell on them. They march forth with confidence, recognizing that every misstep was a lesson, not a distinguishing attribute of who they are. Twice the depth. There's also a psychological aspect at play here when you disclose prior shortcomings. Too quickly, you create an imbalance in how she regards you. Instead of seeing the strong, competent guy you are now, she could start focused on who you were when you created those errors. And the reality is, many individuals, consciously or not, tend to judge others by their past. It's unjust, but it's human nature. By withholding that information till the proper moment, you offer her the chance to see your strengths first. So when you do ultimately discuss about your history, it's framed in a far more positive way. Additionally, discussing failures might make you appear like you're still carrying emotional baggage. When you converse about previous errors or failed partnerships, it may come off as if you haven't properly moved on or learnt from those experiences. Women desire to be with guys. They have a firm sense of direction and purpose, not guys who are caught in the past by keeping your failures to yourself. Initially, you project an image of a man who's focused on the future, not one who's still entangled in final truth, the mistakes of the past. And let's take it one step further. Failure is a part of every success story, but how you communicate that story makes all the difference. Instead of presenting your failures as things that happened to you, talk about how they were, stepping stones toward the man you are today. High-value men don't play the victim. They take full ownership of their experiences and use them to fuel their growth. When the time comes to talk about your past, frame your failures as necessary, challenges that push you toward success, not as regrets that hold you back. Conclusion: the power of quiet and strength, the power of a high-value man, lies not just in what he says, but more significance in what he chooses not to say. Silence, when utilized wisely, may be one of your major least assets. It helps you to keep control, command respect, and preserve an aura of mystery that keeps ladies fascinated by not disclosing too much too fast, whether it's your weaknesses, plans, financial troubles, anxieties, or past failures. You defend your image and your emotions. Power high-value guys recognize that there's power in restraint. They understand that not every idea or feeling needs to be shared, and that sustaining an amount of privacy is vital to sustaining respect and attraction. Quiet isn't about dishonesty. It's about keeping control over your story. When you do speak, your words carry more weight, and when you divulge something personal, it's considered as an honor, not a burden in the end. The less you disclose, the more authority you keep, and that, my friends, is the hallmark of a high-value man.